So I want to talk to you about printmaking next, and to do that we're going to look at this gel printing plate. They come in a plastic case like this. When you open them up, you just pop open the outer edges and you take the jelly plate out, and then it comes with two protective covers on it. So you want to peel those covers off and slide them back inside the case. And this jelly plate is made of a special like non-porous plastic material, so it needs to go onto the tabletop. If you put it on a paper or something, it might leave sort of an oily residue, so you want it to go on the table, plus it doesn't slide around on that, which is kind of nice. So we're going to just close this kind of back up and set it over here to the side. Now, some basic things you need to know about a jelly plate. One of the things is you do not want to use any sharp instruments on this, so no pointy pencils, that sort of thing, because you could damage the plate and actually put a divot in it that would never come out. So you do not want to have a sharp tool to be using on this, okay? Secondly, you'll use a brayer. This is just a roller that will roll your paint out, which will essentially be like your ink when you print with it. And so you'll need a brayer, you'll need a jelly plate, and you'll need 4 of these copy sheets of paper. But they fit the size of the jelly plate quite nicely, and they also will fit 4 on top of your seat sheet when you lay them on there. So that is why you want 4, okay? All right, so in order to use the jelly plate, you want to use some acrylic paint, and acrylic paint is not in the paint center. It's actually in the printmaking center because it is a type of paint that is permanent. If it gets on your clothes, it doesn't come out. I would recommend probably wearing an apron if you're doing this. All right, I'm just going to grab a few colors of paint out of the tub for right now, and I will show you some basics of how to use these, okay? All right, so when you put your paint on, you don't want to put a lot. You want to put a very small amount, so I'm just putting a few dots of blue. I'm starting with a light color here, and you're just going to carefully roll this out. You want to cover the plate, so you want to go across it and up and down. Make sure you get all the way to the edges. At first it's a little bit tricky to get used to not rolling it off the edge, so you kind of have to think about that as you work. And then you can lay this right on top of that and make a print. Now before I do that, I can draw in it with like a Q-tip because that is soft, and so that would work. You can also lay papers on top of it, so you could cut objects, shapes out and put them on there. I went ahead and cut a little paper snowflake, so I'll just use that and show you. So you can use it like a mask. It's going to block out some of the areas, and that part will not print on your paper. So I'm going to just go ahead and roll this on the back. You want to press firmly. You want to make sure you get all the way up into the edges. You can also do it with your hands. I just kind of sometimes will use the roller to finish kind of getting the rest of the paint off of it. You can peel it back and kind of check it and see what it's looking like, and then you can also kind of have a sneak peek of if you missed a spot. You don't want to peel it all the way up because you won't get it lined back up. But you want to firmly press so that you get all the paint that you can onto your print. Okay? All right, and then you'll just pull this off, and you'll see I got a fairly good print the first time. Not too bad. There's a few spots I didn't quite rub maybe enough, so some of that paint will still be left on there. I'm going to carefully pull these up. They're paper, but I'm hoping I can reuse them a couple of times before I have to get rid of them. Now, there is going to be some paint left on there. You can use another piece of paper if you want to, one of your other pieces, to see if you can pull what's left off. Sometimes it will come off, sometimes it won't, and either way is really okay. I kind of like, yeah, not much came off. I kind of like to leave what's on here. You can squirt it with some water and wipe it off and clean it if you want, or you can also put a little more blue paint on. Now, because I did not clean this off, there is still light blue paint under this, and we're going to see if it prints off. And you can roll the brayer on the back, again, just to kind of help clean that off. And we'll see what that gave us. It did not really print this blue that was on there. I thought maybe it would pull it back up. Sometimes it will, it's a nice surprise, but it did not this time. Don't be afraid of trying to print over prints that you don't like. Just because it didn't turn out the way that you thought doesn't mean that it's totally something that you need to throw away, okay? So let's put this back down here in this other snowflake at this angle and try that. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, that turned out great. Okay, so see, just because one print doesn't turn out well, print a color over the top of it and just start over with like a blank canvas basically. I mean, that plain blue ended up being my background now, so that worked out just fine. All right, so far I have 2 prints that I'm fairly happy with, really. So another really cool thing you can do is you can find images in a magazine and you can cut them out after you have applied tape to them, and it's almost like they're laminated, and then you can put them on top of your Gelli plate. Like if you roll out a color and lay it on there and then print it, you get an image like this. Now obviously this would have been that way because it's reversed when you pull it off. So, but what that did then was blocked the background color and made this cool print. So this is one of the prints that I made earlier this year in August of 2016 at Artscape. One of the kids in my class at this art camp used this bird for her print, and I just loved how it turned out. So I wanted to show you how you could make your own masks besides just cutting it out of, you know, paper and like I did with the snowflakes, okay? So what I did was I went through some magazines over in the collage area and I started to look for things that would have sort of an outline shape. Now, not everything looks like this in the magazine. It might look like this fish, or it might look like this dog here. I found this cool bird, or this duck would even work here. And I thought this fish was kind of cool too. So how you do that, I'm going to show you in the next step, and I'm going to use it on this dog. Let me move this out of the way and then I will be right back to show you. Now the idea here is to take some clear packing tape and put it over top of the image that you're wanting to keep. So I'm going to pull this out and try to put it on smoothly because you don't want a bunch of air bubbles obviously trapped under it. So I'm going to put it down and really rub it flat. And I'm just going to cover this whole dog, front and back actually, with the packing tape. So let me get that done and then we'll be right back. But now there's tape over the whole front and whole back of this. And then what you'll have to do is you have to carefully cut the shape out. So you have to take your time because this is a very important step. Okay, so I finished cutting this out. I'm just gonna throw the rest of this part in the trash and get the tape put away and the scissors out of the way, and I'll show you again how I use this when I am printing. Now I'm gonna turn it this way this time so that when I put the dog on there, it'll fit that direction. And get my paper ready, because you wanna have your paper ready when you're gonna print. You don't wanna wait and then go find it, because your paint on your not palette, your Gelli plate will get dried before you even find the stuff you need. So I'm gonna get out some brown, because the first color that I put down on my paper is gonna end up being like the background color. And even though this has some blue on it, I know it's dry from the last time that we used it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just add it on there. I'll wash this all off at the end anyway. All right, now I'm just gonna make a plain print first. So just plain brown, and then pull your print. Now there's a lot of paint still left on here, so what I'm gonna probably do is clean that real quick. I'm going to put a paper towel. You can get a wet paper towel. I've got a little spray bottle here. I'm gonna give it a couple of little squirts, and I'm just gonna wipe that off. Okay, that'll be all right for now. All right, now I'm thinking I wanna do a little green for like grass along the bottom, but I wanna do some blue at the top for the sky. And that was probably way too much paint. but there's no way to take it off. So you need to be careful and kind of be thinking about that when you pour it on there. All right, now this is gonna mix a little in the middle. That's totally fine with me. I'm actually liking the way it looks like grass that way. Okay, lay that down. Don't forget to lay the dog down. This is where you're gonna wanna use your mask. And then I'm gonna put my picture that I just printed with the brown on top. And I'm gonna start to roll this in, okay? So you're gonna put this down and then you're gonna roll this back off. Oh, I just tore it a little bit, sorry. I'm trying to hurry, so I have a class at the door coming in. And see how that mask now looks like a dog. Now, friends, when you are done with everything and it's time to clean up this mess that we have made, we've got a lot of things to take care of. We need to take the brayer and the jelly plate and clean them both. I like to get a sponge at the sink and just kind of scrub this under the water so that you get as much paint off as possible. Probably not everything is gonna come off, but at least get the edges, because a lot of times paint will build up on these edges if you don't wash the edges as well. And wipe those good with a sponge as well. Get a wet paper towel and do it. If there's a line at the sink, you need to put your prints up on the drying rack. So I am going to show you, when you have 4 prints, how they would fit on your seat sheet like this. So I have my 2 snowflake prints and I made another dog print. You might be able to clip the top 2 under your clip up here, and then these 2 will just have to go on there by themselves. But you really need to write your name on them as well. So probably you need to give yourself about 10 minutes for cleaning up and getting everything put away. So that is something to keep in mind. There are 4 of these. So that means 4 people can be printing with these gel printing plates at a time. So if you are doing it today, you should give someone else a turn the next day. You should not be doing jelly plate printing back to back. You should be able to make 4 prints in one class time pretty easily, and then clean it up so that someone else can have a turn the next week. Please, after you have washed these off, get some dry paper towels and make sure you dry this so it's not dripping all over the floor and all over everything else when you put it away. And also, do not put these away wet. I don't want them to get moldy or, you know, smelly and stinky because they had paint and water still kind of left on them. So make sure that you kind of dry it off before you actually stick it into the container and put it away, okay? All right, I think that's all, hopefully.